Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, yours today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Barian O'Connor.
Whew, I am here, brother. And like we were just saying in the pre-show, I've got so many little news articles opened up on my iPhone. It may blow up. Hopefully, though, my computer will not.
Sure. We have dozens of small articles, small stories. Well, sometimes big stories, but like maybe haven't gotten, the most attention yet. But of course, we're going to talk about the big Joe Biden thing too.
I feel so bad for that guy, except that I don't. But
yeah.
I mean, in a way, I do. In a way, I do.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all that stuff today. And of course, if you have anything else that we're missing, be sure to send stuff over. I know some folks have already sent us some things that they want to talk about too. I got a request.
Oh, did you?
Yes. I mean, it's related to Joe Biden thing, but
okay. All right. I got a good analogy that came from a viewer about this whole Joe Biden thing. I wonder if it's the same kind of concept.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff and more. You know how we do it, folks.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, smash the like button, smash the heart button. Twitter, you guys are there watching. Get on here and make some more comments. We love it. Kevin and I will field your questions. Hopefully your comments will be absolutely ridiculous and make me laugh in the middle of a segment because I love that. And then Kevin has to vamp,
Sure do. It's a good time. We're gonna see how that hotel internet holds up today too.
Oof. Be ready, bro. Be ready. I tested it. I tested it, man, and it's like, I don't know. It was like hitting off the charts. So I'm super confident that it's going to work.
It's really great until someone like fires up the Xbox Live. And,
yeah.
All right. Let's start the show in 3, 2.
Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wills, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Barian O'Connor.
Yeah, I'm back to the Freedom Barian. I decided being a culture warrior is not for me. It's something that I rail against. I'm not going to be that good at it. I don't like it. So I changed my name back to the Freedom Variant, and I am here to like an infectious disease trying to spread the word of freedom.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's definitely how we want to frame ourselves, as a disease.
Yeah, the infectious disease of freedom. That's how I view myself.
We're going viral. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, we got a bunch of under the radar stories this week. We can't not talk about the big story consuming absolutely everything in the national news. But we'll talk about some, some smaller. Not smaller stories, just under the radar stories, other things that you may have missed too. But first, we have to talk about it. It's all Jover. It's Joe Biden has decided that he's no longer going to be the Democratic nominee for president. And
I thought you were going to say he passed away.
Yeah, he's still here. He just gave a speech, from the White House.
All right,
allegedly.
Yeah. I don't know. AI can do some remarkable things, brother. Like deep fakes, cheap fakes, ain't got nothing on the White House AI.
There's so many deep fakes out of Joe Biden behind a Resolute desk, just like, just saying some of the meanest things to folks.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's hard to tell what's real out there.
It is because he is the author of the 92 crime bill. Like he is in his heart, his black evil heart, a very, very mean man, a very, very law and order, very, very, I want power regardless of the cost kind of guy. So,
I mean, you say that, but like he stepped down. Tim, doesn't it make your patriotic heart swell? Knowing that a president voluntarily gave up power for the good of his country, for the good of democracy. I heard him say that in the speech. For the good of democracy, he decided that it was time to step down, to pass the torch, to let the next generation rise up and help make sure that this country continues to be great.
All right. So the weird thing about that, Kevin, is that like as late as Sunday morning, he was basically telling the world that he was going to still be running. Like, I don't understand the change of heart here. Like, what happened to Joe Biden? Like, what did they do?
He's a robot now.
He is a robot. He's always been a
the
robot.
conspiracy theories coming out were like, wow, there was a whole bunch of that type of stuff. Like, no, man, Joe, he's not okay. He's actually like in a coma, or they got him locked up. And just see like the letter he sent out wasn't on like his like official letterhead, and the signature looked weird. And well, where's the proof of life? Like, there's a lot of that stuff going on. Now,
there is. And look, I'd like everyone to realize he went right to Twitter and tweeted that. Like, Twitter is the most important source of news in the entire universe.
He did. Yeah, like that's where he came out. It's on Twitter, on X of all places. Like, didn't just like put out a press release to all the like the major networks. Put it out on Twitter.
On Twitter. Yeah. Reaches more people faster than the mainstream media ever could. Ever could. So look, Kevin, there's been some rampant speculation. There was a big, like, Kamala raised $90 million in like 12 and a half minutes. Like, something happened there where Joe Biden was going to get a bunch of funding from people like George Clooney, people like, Democrat Party ops, the DNC.
He wrote the that op-ed saying like,
we love you, Joe.
He couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, the pivot there, that they can be 1 minute lying to our faces about the health and competence of Joe Biden, and then the very next minute, like, pivoting to the greatest invention in the world or the greatest human being in the world, Kamala Harris. Like, I just don't know how they can slide, swing, and just jump from point A to point B so fast. I don't get it. It hurts my head.
Yeah, no, it helps if you have no sense of ethical and moral decency. Like, if you have like zero problem lying, and like I'm almost like, I'm not usually cynical, but like there's a little bit of cynicism in me like seeing some of this, because like you could see like Sunday morning his campaign manager's like, Joe Biden's definitely in, he's gonna do
all the way.
Joe Biden was like, 1,000% I'm gonna run. Now I think there's probably at some point in time like a legit change of mind, right? Like,
sure,
it's just Obama's telling him not to do it, Nancy Pelosi's telling him not to do it, Chuck Schumer's telling him like, bro, it's time. Like,
I can.
So I think there is some of that. Yeah,
I can sympathize with him there. If like Joe Biden or if Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer told me to do something, I wouldn't do it. I would absolutely want to do the opposite. I want to be clear about that. So I'm sympathetic.
It's fair. Like Joe Biden just had the same instincts. You're going to tell me I was going to do it, but now that you're telling me not to do it, look, forget it.
Well, absolutely.
But no, I mean, like, so there's like the straightforward story is like, there is part of that, but also like, man, like everyone knew, maybe not everyone. There's some people who are really drinking the partisan Kool-Aid that throw out an old term, but there's some people who believe it. But most people are like, he ain't doing well. Like most people could see it. Most Democrats, for goodness sakes, could see it for months, and still. These folks are going out and be like, no, Joe's stronger than ever. Especially Kamala Harris. Joe's stronger than ever. And like, he's leading this country, and he's sharp as a tack, and he's so witty and blah, 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 just like singing his praises left and right. And it's like, man, we know you're lying. And like, again, the slightly cynical part of me is like, okay, that's their job. That's just what they got to do. Like, I get a campaign manager can't go out and be honest and be like, yeah, no, he's not doing super great right now. But like, I don't know, it's kind of gross.
Look, the campaign manager is one thing, because that guy's paycheck is getting cashed by the Biden family, or getting written by the Biden family, right? But we have an entire corporate media structure that covered for this joker's problems that you and I and practically everybody else in the world, okay? Everybody non-associated with the left, independents, RFK, all of the people that at least try to think freely once in a while, we're like, this guy is in decline. This is a reality. And there was like some reaction because like a lot of right-wing guys went after it early, but it was real, man. Like, we could all
like the
see
AP was putting out like, oh, there's the new cheap fake videos, the right-wing conspiracy to make Biden look old and feeble. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's pretty close to what the actual headline said.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Like it's So, but like they did. This is one of those things where like you got me on this one. Like the mainstream media was going out and be like, "Oh, this is a conspiracy theory," and the rest of us like, You're telling us not to believe our lying eyes. Come on, man. Like we can see it. We see what's going on with this guy. And like it's sad. Like I have some level of empathy for it. Like, man, it would stink if I were like spent all my life trying to get a job and then like halfway through the job, like I get, told I can't do it anymore. Like, yeah, that stinks. But I mean, policies aside, because there's a lot of bad policies.
Kevin, and I hate this. This is a cliche, man, but it felt so freaking Orwellian watching people stump for him, going around, getting on message saying he's as sharp as they've ever seen him. He's as sharp as a tack. This guy, he asked probing questions. He wasn't. They lied. What are they lying about now? They're still lying. We know they're lying. They know that we know that they're lying, and yet they continue to lie. Paraphrasing Solstein, but it just real, man. Like it's just real. There's such a bunch of liars.
Yeah, they are. And actually, so I had to go and find like the AP headline, which was "Seeing is believing," not necessarily when it comes to video clips of Biden and Trump, and that was June 21st.
Was that the cheap fake rundown where they were trying to pretend like, oh, these things aren't really edited, but you're just catching a very short clip out of context.
They're just taken out of context. That's all.
Pshaw. Liars. Just such liars. Oh my God.
No, it's yeah. So you're right to hate the media on this one. Like it's bad.
I'm always right to hate the media. I'm always right to hate the media. Everybody that hates the media is going to be right more often than they are wrong. And no matter how much I hate them, they hate us more. I want to be very clear. They have zero respect for any of us. Not even
I mean, it's disrespectful to our intelligence, to say this type of stuff. Like it really is.
Yeah.
Like, nope, sorry. Like again, and it's one of those things like the reason why I'm feeling like sort of bad about my cynicism, being, like these politicians, of course they lie. Like that's just like kind of their job. Like we shouldn't expect to have journalists, A, but and they shouldn't be advocating partisan positions, B, and then like we shouldn't expect politicians to lie too. We should expect like only a handful of Democrats came out and they're like, no, come on, like clearly he's not doing well. I'm asking him to step down publicly, right? Only a handful of Democrats had the guts to do that ahead of time, and the reason why I don't like it is because I read stories about, and I'm not. There's an article that a few weeks back about how America is turning into like end stage Soviet Russia, but there was I'm not on board with most of that article, but there was a condition. I like maybe we could talk. I don't remember if we talked about that yet, but there's this thing that happened in Soviet Russia where people would just kind of expect like because you think like how do they sit there and believe their government? Like, do they believe like it to us? It's like these are obvious lies. And like the cultural attitude in the Soviet Union was like, well, yeah, they lie so much. Like we just figure like maybe like there's like a half truth in there somewhere. So like, yeah, some of it's true. It's probably halfway there. It's an exaggeration, like whatever. Like, so that they just expected that out of our government. We should not expect that out of our government. We shouldn't expect that out of our media. We have to demand better. Like all the time, like even when like the decisions are tough, and that's when we need it the most, when like it's a big deal to try to speak truth to power, to say the emperor has no clothes. Yet you have to be able to do it. Or in situations where like you need to build trust with people, like the whole COVID rollout, when they started like flip-flopping on masks and they started telling, noble lies so that they could preserve the mask supply for medical personnel. No, you can't do that.
It was wild. So that's the thing. There's no such thing as a noble lie. There's only a lie, right? And then people can sense when persons in power are fudging and hemming and hawing about the truth. They can feel it. And that encourages some of these wilder conspiracy theories because they're lying. They're always lying. Why are they lying so much? And it's hard. Honestly, it's hard to believe. It's hard to figure out the real reasons behind why they lie, except for the simplest explanation is a simple lust for power and a simple lust to try to do what they perceive to be the right thing, but they go so far with their lies that I that's why I lose my mind. Like,
and you said they do it to do the right thing, like, because you can justify a lot when you think you're the good guy. And again, that's I know we disagree about, like, sometimes, like, I think that most of them think they're the good guy and they can justify doing bad things because ultimately they're good. They're trying to fix it. Like Joe Biden sees himself that way. Like, you can listen to like the speech he gave tonight, and like he thinks he's like the hero in this story, and that's like how you justify everything that he does.
Did Hitler know he was a bad guy? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's really that simple. Like, he probably would, if he survived, would be like, no, I was doing the right thing for Mother Germany. You see what I mean? It's like,
no, he probably did think that he was the good guy, and you know, I mean, like, there's only a handful of folks who like really know, like, yeah, I'm corrupt and I'm terrible, but like, whatever, I'm gonna do what I can. But like, ideologues, and that's why I say, like, me saying that people thinking they're good and that's how they motivate and like view themselves in the world as they're enacting policy does not mean it's benign. It is in fact often the opposite of benign, because the people who think they're doing the most good, like, it doesn't matter how like nice you think you are doing rent control, you know, to pick like a relatively mild thing, you are making life more miserable for poor people and making housing less accessible. It doesn't matter how much good you think you're doing for like protecting your nation. If your idea of protecting a nation is like invading other countries, you're still the bad guy, even if you think of yourself as the hero who has to make tough decisions in your own narrative.
Yeah, and look, like, the law of unintended consequences is just like a witty rejoinder to an obviously bad policy, but it's absolutely real. Just like saying something like, when the government distorts markets, it hurts people. But nobody, like, we say it and people nod in agreement and they're like, there he goes again. It's real. It causes misery, right? It doesn't add value to society. And so no matter how you say it, this is where we get into the libertarians not speaking well to the outside world, but we're speaking the truth and we're being philosophically consistent. And I think somehow that's important, even though I want to say it and scream it from the rooftops, and I want more people to hear it. All I can do is keep saying it, right? And I have to keep saying it in a way that makes sense to me. So stop distorting markets. The law of unintended consequences is real, and those things cause misery in our society, and they cost value in our society. Does that? Hopefully, I persuade somebody, one person, with that tonight.
At least one's out there, Tim. At least one.
Yeah, at least one.
So we'll get to this comment from Legacy Zach on YouTube. It says, it wasn't voluntary, it was a DNC coup.
It was.
I mean, sort of, right? Like, and I know, like, there's a lot of Democrats who are like kind of clutching pearls, like, well, you know, like, this is just what you have to do, and like, what do you expect? And like, I don't know, like, everyone else kind of knew about this 8 months ago. Like, this isn't like people, like, not just Republicans, but a lot of senators have been like, maybe Biden ain't the dude. Like a while ago, his polls have been bad. They've been below Trump since like the end of last year. It's clear, like, physically he was declining since, like, he could have done it. And so it sort of is a DNC coup, because like a lot of Democrats, a lot of donors are saying like, no, we just ain't gonna do it. I'm not betting my money on a losing horse. And they could have done it sooner, so there could have been a primary, because it's hard to say if Vice President Harris would have won an open primary.
Based on history, Kevin, she wouldn't stand a chance. She didn't get a delegate. She was polling below 1% as a presidential candidate. Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her.
Oh yeah, no, just lit her up in that debate.
And I don't get too much into debates, but Tulsi Gabbard destroying Kamala Harris was an historic debate performance and a wonderful, wonderful event. Like, I thought we were done with Kamala Harris, and somehow Joe Biden resurrected her. Dude, no thank you. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that guy did this to us now. So should we go down the wormhole of Kamala Harris now, or should we
No. So we're probably gonna do that next segment.
All right.
But
all right.
Because like there's definitely plenty to talk about with her. And I want to get into it, right? Like, where does she actually stand on a few things? Like, it just, I don't know. Like, again, in terms of how she ended up like in this position, it's funny, you know. It's like she was put in this position, like, and I know people are like, oh, you're being racist if you call her DI higher, like, but it was a bit weird. Like, Joe Biden said specifically, like, I am going to pick a black woman as my running mate. Like, that was his qualification, right?
And
Like,
and that is not cool. That encourages
and I'm not,
again,
no,
this
and I'm not
conspiracy
saying
stuff.
yeah,
Sorry,
like,
go ahead.
and listen, like, I'm not saying too that like she isn't necessarily like qualified, right? Like that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying like it's a little bit weird to me to like lead with that instead of being like leading with I chose this person because she is the best person for the job, and then let everyone else fill in the blanks, right? Like which they would have done anyway, right? I'm like, oh wow,
Correct.
like great, like he looked for the best person for a job, and the best person for a job is like this woman of color. Like that's great. Cool, like, you know, like that's fine with me. Like, it's just it's weird. I don't think it's good for the country to like lead with like characteristics that like ultimately don't matter to the qualifications for the job. Like I don't believe it. I don't think skin color is what is important, like in any sense, for doing the job. Like,
Look,
experience matters, knowledge
right,
matters,
right.
competence matters, and Vice President Harris might have all those things. I don't know if she does, but she might have all those things.
Look, based on her performance in public, it would be hard to make the case that she has any of those things. But I have some
Yeah.
stuff to say about her when we get into the next segment where we do a deeper dive that I'm
Yeah.
going to blow our conservative friends away.
All right, we're going to do that. All right, thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution on WSL. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. We'll get to a couple more of these comments. So Jared Anderson, he was showing decline when he was VP. I mean, like, I think back when he was VP, that like go listen to him when he was like Barack's VP. Like, it's really night and day. Like, even like the beginning of 2020, like the 2020 election, like he's a different man. Like, now, does he forget stuff, misspeak? Sure, but at least he did so with a lot more energy, and then like would usually pick himself back up, like oftentimes more gracefully than George W. Bush did.
That's fair. Like, George W. Bush was not in any way a great speaker either.
Yeah.
And look, a shout out to our buddy Jared. Jared and I occasionally will get together and do some live broadcasts. He's been on A Free Solution as a guest. He's out in Tuele, Utah, and he does his own little show, and like, not his own little show, he does a show out there, and occasionally he just invites me on, and I rant about anti-government, and he and I agree, and then he has some like conservative folks that are much calmer about things. He's had a Senate candidate on there, and I did a call in. Like, he's doing some interesting stuff. So, political head trauma, or check out Jared Anderson. Either way, he's a good dude for sure.
Yeah. So Patricia says, no, but how is she getting ballot access and on the ballot? Meaning Harris. How is she legally becoming a nominee? So
that's
basically,
how I was going to talk about on the show, Kevin. Because
okay, so we've talked about that on the show. So maybe we'll maybe we'll do that. And then
I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's
no, it's a good point. And then let me get to this other Jared's other comment here about Biden, and then we'll talk about the Harris stuff. We'll go back to the show. And Jared said, I remember his gay marriage misspeech, though it did force the administration to follow, or maybe he's a genius. Yeah, I feel like that was one of those things that was on purpose, because if you don't remember, basically Biden came out and like made a strong statement in favor of gay marriage when the Obama administration had publicly said, like, no, we're not really for it. We're for civil unions. Like, remember, this is, oh my gosh, it was like 15 years ago now, but like, that's basically what it was. And after Joe Biden did that, they kind of did polling around it and saw that it was popular enough, and the administration adopted that position of then supporting gay marriage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like, and it's fine. Why get the government involved in your lives to that extent? But okay, go ahead. I've been married.
yeah,
Go ahead and get married. It's like it's either good or it's bad. Like whatever. We got
yeah,
one from Legacy Zach out there that I
yeah.
want to talk about. Look, I think that most of the Biden's corruption, to a large extent, unfortunately, is legal. It's completely legal, even though it's
They know how to do it
obviously
right.
corrupt. They filed the right paperwork, bro. Like
Yeah.
the bags of money that they took in, they declared most of it. I know Hunter's on some charges for tax stuff. Probably, right? He probably
No one's more devastated about this news than Hunter Biden.
That's
for sure. Like
man.
he's just the top advisor lately, Hunter Biden. You know,
this is one of the subjects where the RNC loses me. I'm like, you guys keep calling him corrupt, but you don't do anything to change the rules that would make the actions that are obviously corrupt illegal. You know why? Because you guys and your kids are doing the same thing, and your cronies and Mitch McConnell's wife and Devin Nunes' son, and all of these people are thick as thieves, raising money, selling access to the budgetary process of the U.S. government. That's real. It's legal. It's still corrupt. As long as they file the right paperwork. That one guy, what was the guy that ended up in jail for filing, like misfiling a piece of paper? Like that was a process crime.
But yeah, they're playing process crimes again. Most politicians aren't as sloppy as Senator Menendez, like gold bars down his pants.
Honestly, I have more respect for him. He's
just upfront about it. Yeah, like everyone else is pretending like, no, this is all legitimate. This is just lobbying. And who cares if my son and nephew are like on the board of this company and making like tens of millions of dollars, and I also own stock in this, and somehow my stocks seem to do super great.
Woohoo! I'm so smart.
Yeah, I'm just very talented at trading, and also on a committee that controls government appropriations. Weird. Nancy Pelosi, like just the best stock trader. Like she's genius. She could have had a productive career instead. What is she doing?
I don't know. Her husband takes care of that, and they don't talk about what stocks to pick. They don't. Anyway, so that was that. I wanted to cover that, Zach. Yeah, Zach knows. He knows. That's another guy I've done a podcast with. He knows.
All right. So I guess we'll head back in a minute, and when we get back, we'll talk about Vice President Harris, and we'll try to keep it mostly substantive. We'll talk about what her getting on the ballot, and also like the some of her policy positions. All right. So we're gonna head back. Yep, in just a second. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin, and I think that the next subject up for us to talk about is the future president of the United States, Kamala Harris. The bottom line is that honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, I think she's the next president of the United States. I'm not joking. I don't think that the Republicans have done enough to fix the things that the Democrats put into action that will allow for, I don't want to call it cheating. They changed the rules to benefit them, and the Republicans have done nothing to answer.
So your take on this is not that like people are also sick of Trump, but that the Democrats have rigged the election for themselves.
Oh no,
they're going down that road.
No, I could go either way on that one, but I'm telling you right now that Trump is polling much better than I anticipated. He's polling, showing leads in battleground states. Now, will that change over the course of the next few weeks when it comes to, as Kamala rolls out her campaign? Maybe, but I don't think that the questions have been answered again. So sure. Are people sick of Trump? Yeah. But I have an interesting perspective on that, Kevin. Like the Back to Blue crowd is kind of going with a convicted felon, and the advocate, all cops are bastard crowd going with a cop. Kind of a weird timeline, bro. It's kind of like a weird timeline to be alive.
One of our fans, Patty, sent me the meme with that. So there you go. Got to mention on there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, that is kind of how it goes. Now, all right. So we talked about this during the break. So WYSL, you didn't get to hear. So we're gonna talk about it on the show. We got a question from Patricia on YouTube. It says, but how is she getting ballot access and on the ballot? How is she, Harris, legally becoming the nominee? All right. Let's talk mechanics here. Like, because how it works basically is that she's on the ticket, right? Like they're in there as a package. So they're the head of the campaign organization, the legal entity that is raising funds and hiring employees, blah, blah, blah. Right. So it's pretty easy for her to just like take over that operation because the top of the ticket's gone. The Democratic National Convention hasn't happened yet. And legally, even though there's primaries, like the candidate isn't on the ballot until after a convention makes their selection. Right. So after the convention makes their selection, all the states, because again, it's not like the libertarians where like we're talking about like moving the libertarian convention even earlier so that they can get before, like the New York State petition requirements and stuff like that. It's not like them. They don't care about the third parties. They'll do that. The Democrats could hold their convention in mid-October and the states would find a way to get their candidate on the ballot. Like they're going to do whatever it takes. So their convention is coming up. And so after that, there will be an official nominee. And Biden, he had all these delegates that he won in the primary process. Those delegates are free to vote for whoever they want. He released them. That said, the consensus among Democrats, although like Obama hasn't come out publicly, I don't think Nancy Pelosi came out publicly in support here, but the consensus seems to be we need to unite behind one candidate and plow ahead with the campaign and not have a messy, fast primary.
Yeah. So let me address one of the things that I think Patty might be talking about. Like, as what I understand her to be as having been a former Bernie bro and a Bernie supporter, and the big disappointment of 2016, where as a libertarian-minded guy, I wanted a mature societal discussion between Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders, and what we got was Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Okay. And how did they end up? There was a straighter line to Donald Trump's nomination in 2016 than there was in Hillary Clinton's losing a bunch of primaries and still acquiring super delegates to become the eventual nominee. So what we're talking about is this authoritarian process that they have in the Democratic Party that it looks like they're going to repeat yet again with Kamala Harris.
The 2016 one was way shadier because there's a point in time where Bernie Sanders was getting like way more like delegates who were pledged to vote for him. Now, again, all these delegates were planning on voting for the Biden-Harris ticket, right? And then like the 2016 thing though is like they had the super delegates that could have come into play, and like even if Bernie had won, like there's opportunities for these super delegates to like jump into the race and swing it over back to Hillary Clinton. And these delegates weren't like selected through the primary process. They're just like Democratic leadership in like various positions of power throughout the country who get a vote without. So they maintain a little bit of like the party boss stuff in the Democratic Party. Like, which used to be the way like they chose candidates. It used to just be like the convention was, okay, all the state chairs and congressmen, they come into a smoky room and we pick our guy.
Tammany Hall, bro. It never died. It changed its name. It still exists, and they still do the same things. They fill their own pockets with money from the government. It's absurd. It's absurd, I tell you.
Yeah. So I mean, like to me, it's like the process is so some I've heard this point out. Something Vice President Harris is really good at is like working the angles within the Democratic Party to make sure that like she succeeds. Because again, she did that to get in her VP position. She did to get to her Attorney General position and the Senate position as well. Like just was able to work within like party structures where she could like work within the elites of the party to try to get positioned well to win elections, right? Or to win nomination spots. And she's done it her whole life, like I know people she's good at it, right? Like it some of it does feel a bit gross, but like that she's good at convincing people within the internal organs of the Democratic Party to put her in positions of power.
Organs is the appropriate word, Kevin.
Don't be gross, Tim.
I'm just saying that was really well played. That was really. I want to make sure the radio audience gives you credit. I want to make sure our Facebook audience and our Twitter audience gives you credit for that. That was well done, sir. Well done.
Keeping it classy, Tim. So anyway, so her political savvy aside, let's talk about some of the policy stuff, right? Because like there's the famous within libertarian circles Reason magazine cover. Kamala Harris is a cop who wants to be president, right?
Sure.
Tim, is she a cop?
She is not a cop. She was a prosecuting district attorney who is relatively famous. She was Attorney General of California, right? Who is relatively famous for her tough on crime, tough on nonviolent criminals, tough on keeping people in prison longer than their allotted sentence to help generate revenue for the state. It's what Tulsi Gabbard destroyed Iran. Yeah. And somehow people seem to have forgotten about that.
No, it's funny. Like the Republicans are like, oh, she's letting everyone free and she's so soft on crime and like pro civil liberties. Like, no, that's not her record. Actually,
she's a monster. She's absolutely a monster in the other direction.
Oh, like literal slavery stuff. Like yes. that is not an exaggeration. So like we'll tell that like a bunch of Democrats are going to come out and be like, no, these right wing conspiracy theorists are telling you these stories about her like locking everyone up and like those are just lies and propaganda. No, here's what actually happened is basically like the state and judges in the state of California were like, hey, your prison system is overcrowded. You should find ways to release people. Here are like 5,000 people that you could release because they're eligible for parole. They're like low risk of recidivism. They're nonviolent crimes, etc. And their reason for not releasing them was we need those people to compel them to fight fires in California, to fight the forest fires.
Correct.
Literal
put their lives at risk.
Yeah.
To put out forest fires. That's great.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, like that is not a good reason to keep someone in jail. When your jails are overcrowded, you can't do that. And like judges are saying, like, nope, by all means, these people should be getting out. Some of these people like should have been getting out like anyway, not even just because of the overcrowding. They should have been getting out anyway. And she kept them in prison longer to force them into like a dangerous job.
Sure.
Again,
sure.
Actual slavery. So.
And look, I don't have a lot of information. This isn't the limit of what she's done. She's also, as an attorney general and a prosecuting district attorney, she was accused, and people have offered evidence. I can remember reading it in the past where she took exculpatory evidence and fought for its suppression. Now, a legitimate DA and a legitimate attorney general, their goal should be the opposite of that. Your conviction rate, and again, like that's a political animal there, right, Kevin? When we're talking about conviction rates, that's how DAs get reelected, or at least that's how they used to get reelected. And suppressing or fighting exculpatory evidence all of the time to keep people in jail or to keep their prosecution moving forward, to me is abhorrent. And not just as a libertarian, as a human being that gives a crap about people. Like, so there's another strike, as far as I'm concerned, down the authoritarian wormhole against her.
Yeah,
she terrifies me, man.
No, and and there's plenty of material there too. Like just digging into the attorney general stuff and her DA days, with all that, and to quote her, she can't be unburdened by what has been. Like that is part of her record. That is part of her life.
Right. I get it.
Did just fall off a coconut tree, Tim.
She did. You're doing wheels on the bus, Kevin. They just go round and round. You see what I mean? Like, this is going to be epic. Her campaign trail going to be nonstop word salad. Well, probably not nonstop word salad. She's probably going to put on a pretty good show because, guys, again, even there were times when people were making fun of Joe Biden, and I found some of the speeches that people were destroying to be nowhere near as bad as they were saying at the time, right? So Kamala Harris is going to be persuasive to 49 to 50% of the population.
She's going to be fine, like, or at least enough of the percentage of the population to get her over the top, because like a bunch of those voters are gonna be like, well, I don't want Trump, so gonna vote for her, gonna vote for, Cackle's word salad queen. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Regardless of any of her policies, regardless of anything else, they want to stop Trump, and that's gonna be it. And so she has other she has other authoritarian tendencies too, like just in terms of I'm trying to think of what some of her other policies were. Like I think she's like kind of in favor of the work that they're doing over at the FTC. I mean, just like JD Vance too, for that matter, but with aggressively pursuing like the monopoly status of various corporations. So that type of stuff. Like she's very, like, she sees as like the government should jump in and fix all the problems, right? Like, and that's because that's how she talks about a bunch of this stuff. To be fair, Joe Biden is the exact same way, but like, there's a problem out there. The government has to jump in and do something about it,
regardless of the market distortion and the havoc it will wreak. Like that's what they'll fix it all for everyone.
Yeah, they sure were. Well, even though like it's interesting, she did have some good things on housing recently. She's talked about like growing the supply of housing, which I was starting to be like, oh, like that's interesting stuff, like incentivizing like more dense zoning stuff, like incentivizing like cities building more things, and then they had one interesting policy recently where like, oh, we'll just like allow people to build more on BLM land, and which fine, they have a bunch of it out west and it's just not being used. So like, okay, yeah, build housing on it. Great, cool. That sounds awesome. Building, okay, we're gonna allow post offices to be like mixed use. Okay, cool. Like that's fine. Yeah. And then they did the rent control thing. Like this,
it's like
5% rent cap. Oh, it's so ridiculous. Like, oh yeah.
They don't understand the absurdities of their controls. And yet we have a guy that's leading the way. That Malay guy has got inflation under control. He tells you how to do it. He has expanded the housing supply by all of the things that by pulling the government away from distorting markets.
Took rent control away. And suddenly everyone's like, you know what? I'm going to turn this Airbnb back to an apartment. Crazy how that happens.
Oh, man.
And suddenly they're building a lot more housing there. Suddenly rents are dropping like massively in Argentina. Crazy. Anyway, on that note, though, we do have to head to break. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Oh, yeah. No, Patricia said she put parents in jail. Yeah, she was like the truancy stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a bunch of ugly stuff.
That was tough love, Patty. Tough love.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. She's bad. Yeah, I didn't even get into why. Like, I think she's gonna win. Like the I don't want her to win. I'll be honest with you.
You don't want her to win?
No, I don't.
I want them all to lose.
Is there a way that we can make that happen? Because that would be epic. That would be epic.
I think it's gonna be the Libertarian who's gonna do it this year.
I don't think so either.
Man, I like him, but it ain't gonna happen.
I don't dislike him. I try hard to like understand why people do and don't like him. I don't dislike him. I thought he did one of the things that he did that we've talked about on other shows was like stand his ground and be a libertarian to show the world that Warnock and Walker were horrible human beings and that he can have impact just by being libertarian. So one of the more successful things that we've achieved was him forcing that runoff and him not saying, yes, I will give my endorsement to one of these two clowns. Like
there's always a temptation within libertarian politics to pick a side, to say, okay, I'm going to pick a side, and that will somehow gain us a smidge of power. It's not gonna work.
I still haven't gotten confirmation that I am not the libertarian that's going to be appointed to Trump's cabinet.
Hey,
but
I mean, all right, I will happily eat crow if Tim ends up in Donald Trump's cabinet. Like if that's the case, look, I will be like, you know what, I was wrong. Like that the party knew what they were doing, and we got Tim in there.
And man, oh man, I would make so much noise I would get fired. Like, and I'd be funny. I'm as funny as Trump. You know what I mean? I'm probably better golfer. So like I'd play golf with him.
Bold claim.
Yep. And I'd play golf with him, and I'd beat him at golf, and I'd be like, all right, now you got to implement one more market free. Just like I'd get him to like go back to his lifting the import restrictions on drugs from Canada. Kevin, I take
he has some good. He has some good positions sometimes.
Dude, I take Eliquis. The cost to my insurance company thousands of dollars a month. Right?
Me too, bro. It's expensive.
I buy it in Canada for hundreds of dollars a month. The price disparity is absurd. It's absurd, and all of these politicians fill their campaign coffers, and CNN sells advertising because of this controlled market. It's so obvious to me. I should do some sort of crazy chart where I put strings from here to there like Glenn Beck used to do. But I think if I keep saying it, people are going to understand. I even said it to Mark Cuban. I got like 4 likes. Like people sometimes, if you're late to a tweet thread, it's not going to
get like the first 10 minutes.
You got to be there. Yeah. If you're there in the first 10 minutes, either you get blocked or you get thousands of likes, you know?
Yeah. It's true. All right. But, I guess we'll go back, and we'll talk about some of the other under the radar stuff.
Oh my God, yeah, we got to talk about it. Which one do you want to talk about?
Man, your choice. You came here with
oh my God,
all right, stuff ready to go. So
all right, I'm gonna close my eyes, hit my phone, and that's what we're talking about. All right,
great. All right, going in 3, 2. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. And Tim is closing his eyes and moving his finger around for your radio audience out there, picking our next story. We had a handful of stories that were under the radar. We talked national politics for the first 2/3 of this show. So let's pick something else.
All right. Well, this one is like, it's going to sound a little bit QAnon-ish. Like when I first start off here, this is going to be wild. Like, and Kevin, legitimately,
Tim goes for the conspiracy stuff. Big surprise, folks.
I hit my phone screen. This is the one that came up. Our government went to work to induce vaccine hesitancy in the Philippines. It literally, it created a whole porn bot army. Oh, not porn bar, excuse me. A whole bot army on Twitter, writing in Chinese or in Malaysian, right? I'm sorry. So in the Philippines,
they speak Spanish, don't they?
Do they? Could be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my friend Martin Caseno that I went to high school with, who came over from the Philippines, spoke Spanish. That's correct. All right, and I did learn a little bit of Spanish from him. But anyways, here's what happened, Kevin. The back during the COVID-19 pandemic, General Dynamics was hired by the Pentagon and the U.S. military to spread disinformation about a Chinese vaccine that was going to be offered in the Philippines to prevent or whatever it did with the COVID-19 deal. Okay.
Right.
So
I mean, like
the government for $500 million hired General Dynamics to spread propaganda. Now, luckily for the United States, U.S. citizens, it is illegal for the U.S. military to spread propaganda to the U.S. citizens, but they can spread it all over the rest of the world. Just saying. What do you think about this? What do you think about this?
At first I was like, man, what sort of Alex Jones stuff is Tim digging up now? And I Googled it. It's a Reuters story. Like it's not.
I knew it. I told you it was going to sound QAnon-ish, but it's a true story, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm like, What this is? Yeah, because folks, I actually I did not know about this. Just wasn't on my radar for whatever reason. Which is why I'm glad we have Tim and other like fans of the show who tell us about these sort of things too.
Man.
And yeah, no, it's it's a real story. They did it like basically like it sounds like the way Reuters is framing it is they saying like it was to get payback for Beijing's efforts to blame Washington for the pandemic. So like, they tried to they ran a whole anti-vax campaign. Like it is really like it looks like what like anti-vax stuff looks like in the US, but specific to like the Chinese vaccine. Which seemed to work like fine. Like it just like it worked about as well. Not probably not as well as the American vaccines, but like fine. Like it worked fine.
Yeah, you're kind of giving the American vaccine the benefit of the doubt. What it was, Kevin, was a legitimate advertising campaign for big pharma by the U.S. military. That's what it was. It's a straight line. It is what it is. It is exactly what it is. It is exactly what if it walks like a duck, Kevin, it's a freaking duck, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like it's like a direct quote from this Reuters article, and I'll share it in the comments too. Is a senior Defense Department official acknowledged the U.S. military engaged in secret propaganda to disparage China's vaccine in the developing world, but the official declined to provide details.
Right.
Okay.
You got to dig for the details. That's how I found out it was General Dynamics and their propaganda arm, their IT tech support arm, and that they received a $493 million contract. And you made a pretty good point that $493 million, $10,000 of it was creating the 200 bot army. And then the other like 500 million went to line pockets of General Dynamics. They have overhead.
It's all overhead. No, you got to have the administrators and directors and stuff. It's they got to get paid too. And they made a handful of social media posts with ChatGPT and then called it a day.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And then like they basically tried to deny it at first, and then they basically just had to admit it and come clean. That Reuters article is very interesting because it doesn't want to point directly at General Dynamics, and it doesn't really. Again, we sugarcoat these things, we soft talk them, we slow walk them. This is what happened. They paid General Dynamics to go advertise for U.S. manufactured vaccines in the Philippines. That's it. And look, the Philippines has a very low vaccine uptake as a result of this propaganda campaign. So
generally, like
really mad. You
know? And it apparently hurts, like, because that's one of the things Reuters talk about. Like, okay, like now people are skeptical of like a whole bunch of other vaccine efforts for stuff that like works like demonstrably well, like polio vaccine, that type of stuff, measles vaccine, etc. I know some folks are going to get mad about that, but I don't care.
QAnon Tim has a whole story about the polio vaccine you're not going to like.
No,
but we're not going to cover it on the radio show.
Yeah, fine. But anyway, I mean, it is a problem though, because like it's a thing, right? Like specifically, like one of the things the CIA is like 100% supposed to be prohibited from doing is actually running their operations through vaccine clinics too, like that, because like the goal, the reason not to do that is because like we don't want there to be distrust for legitimate US aid efforts, right? Like so like vaccination clinics and like certain types of food aid stuff, like not the intelligence community is not supposed to be involved in it. Now, do they do that anyway? Yeah, no, unfortunately they go out and commit crimes.
yeah, they do. That's what they do. It's wild.
Yeah, it's they sure do love committing crimes. So anyway,
you want me to pick another one? Because
pick another one. All right, close the eyes. Pick another one. What do you got?
All right. Our man Elon Musk, the greatest credit farmer in the history of credit farming, which, guys, is by far the most profitable form of credit farming. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up credit farming and just check it out and see what Elon Musk does. But anyways, Elon Musk has developed Optimus Prime. You guys have heard me talk about this show of how I'm not afraid of robotics, how I want to see the future, how I want flying cars, how I want a robot to clean my house effectively. I want him to mow my lawn effectively. Like, I want this to happen. Anyways, going on sale, like somewhere in 2026. Tesla has, or Elon Musk has developed a robot. He's a humanoid robot, by the way, which all the movies I've seen scares me a little bit. But anyway, he does have a working prototype of this robot in his Tesla factory, moving around batteries to, put them to work, eliminate human labor. Guys, the future is bright. And I don't think that we should fear technological advancements. I don't think AI powered robots are really going to want to kill us. Like,
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm Kent Brockman right here on A Free Solution. I mean, I'm just saying. But I am looking forward to the future. And I do think that unions are protecting us from their perception of the future, or they're protecting labor when we could be offering freedom. And it's a market distortion. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm excited about robots.
No, it is, right? Like, because there's like the union argument against this type of like automation, which is the same thing that goes way back to the Luddites, right? Like the Luddites, like, why did they want to destroy the loom equipment? Because some people made a good living off of that. It was a skilled trade. It was something that paid them a lot of money for the time. It made clothes expensive, so it made it so that like clothing was difficult to buy. A lot of robot labor, once it actually, again, it's a lot more complicated than it seems to have like a robot that can like move around and interact in space and isn't like a fixed object doing a very simple and repetitive task.
Yeah.
But once we get to that, go ahead.
Well, the human mind does a massive amount of more calculations per second, interpreting its reality. Like, I look at a light, I look at a beer, I look at a can of ice. Like, I am interpreting and being able to react to all of those things nearly simultaneously, because of the microprocessor that is my brain is off the charts compared to what robots can do. Okay. But
yeah, sure,
we could build robot slaves. I'm looking forward to that. Like, I just think it would be great, like somebody mow my lawn, man. Somebody like vacuum my house. Somebody walk my dog. Robot, walk my dog. I want my dog to get more exercise than I can offer.
We've already got lawn mowing robots and vacuuming robots. I got a vacuuming robot. I fixed it.
It's lame. They're lame. I want a like robot dog walking master where they just kind of like mimic humans and walk my dog through the neighborhood saying hi to my friends with my voice, and perhaps some sort of facsimile of my face.
There you go. Just tape a printed cutout of your face on the robot. That's fine.
Yeah, that would be good.
No, I like walking my dog, so I want it, except for when it's like pouring rain out.
Yeah, no, my concern is that being on the road a lot, that my dog does not get enough attention. And whatever, I've got to find something to live guiltily about. So that's one of the things.
But yeah, like, so the point about robots, like, you're absolutely right about, like, they can do like complicated, well, they can do like straightforward tasks, right? Like right now, like a lot of robots can do like, okay, here's this widget and it needs to have the same like 300 step process done to it every single time, exactly the same way. Like, great. But robots like have trouble with something like dishes, right? Like they can't figure out like something that would be simple enough for like a child to do. Like, robots can't figure that out because like the situation's too like messy and like unique, and like if it doesn't know what to do with some of that stuff.
Yeah, and guys, look, that's the way to protect yourselves from robots, is like a dishwashing rack. Like, they can't get past it. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, they'll make so like some advances in that, I'm sure, but like the unions are trying to, like I said, going back to the whole like Luddite thing, they're trying to go back to like, we want to preserve these jobs, not seeing that like, okay, a lot of those folks who ended up like losing their job, like making clothing, like ultimately, and it took a little while, but ultimately, like, they and their children lived much better lives because technology was allowed to advance, because it saved labor and allowed people to pursue other things that were less difficult, more complex, and generated more like money and wealth for their family too, while they got to enjoy the benefits of like cheaper, increased production from automation and machinery.
Yeah,
and the same thing's going to happen with us, with AI in the software space and with robots in physical space.
Technological advancement adds value to society, just like unlimited low-cost energy adds value to society. So it, fearing it is just another manipulation. And perhaps I don't have the fear brain. That's why I ended up being a libertarian. Like, I just can't be afraid of things constantly that people demand me to be afraid of and emotional about. I just can't do it. I'm just not wired to be perpetually afraid like that. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why we're the crazy, that's why we're the crazy ones. I don't know.
I mean, listen, I'm hoping that our new overlord, both robots and President Harris, don't stop, progress in their tracks for these things.
I anticipate them being completely benevolent. Well, the robots more than Kamal.
Yeah. Well, Tim and I might be siding with the robots. So I'm saying.
We got to take controversial positions, Kevin. Do we have time for I have a pretty awesome Massey tweet. Being as
we got a minute.
I'm the anti-war guy, right? AIPAC going after Thomas Massey. I don't know if you guys caught any of that Tucker interview. It's worth checking out, where Massey kind of spells out how AIPAC goes to work in Congress. AIPAC takes a shot at Thomas Massey. Once again, Thomas Massey is standing with AOC and Bernie Sanders against our ally Israel, which is not exactly an accurate portrayal of how he feels. But Thomas Massey rejoins with, "Call me anything you want. I won't be attending your war rally." So it was about him not going to the big Netanyahu speech. As we know, am anti-war. I think that Israel is particularly aggressive. I think that they're untethered by, oh God, how do I say it? Like, I think that they need a moral tether to what they're doing, that we have forgotten to equate innocent life to innocent life. And I think that that is an important piece of our society. That's the part that drives me crazy. I'm not saying they're wrong for defending themselves. None of that. It's equate innocent life to innocent life. Let's do that.
Yeah.
That's my request.
Point.
Yeah.
All right. But on that note, though, we do have to call it a day for the WYSL portion of the show. Thanks again for listening today, WYSL audience. Have a great night, folks. Take care.
All right. We got to do one. We got to want to do another news article for everybody.
Yeah, we do one more.
Did we
do one more?
All right. Do we have any subjects that we want to further? I got to figure out a better way to do this. All right, here we go. Because it's like I kind of have an idea. I'll circle it around that one. Nothing comes up. That's crazy. All right. Let's see which one I pick. But my God, I feel bad that we didn't do this one on the show, Kevin, because it's ideal for the two of us. Have you caught any of the Sonia Massey story?
No.
Okay. What we have is another police officer involved shooting where a young woman has lost her life to what appears to be an incompetent police officer. Okay, like this kid had. All right. This one's a tough one. Okay, because Sonia Massey is a 36-year-old black woman, mother of two, who was called the sheriff's department for help and ended up getting shot in the face. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so, and of course, this guy actually had the guts to wear his body cam. So that's cool. Wow. And now they have evidence against him. He has been arrested. He has been fired.
Police officer has been arrested and fired. Wow.
Yeah. Right. Which is a big deal.
Yeah. That's.
This
man, I saw like one person tweet about this, but I was like, okay, I need to look into that. And then I didn't get that prep time for the show.
Grayson, the first thing that it's to be noted about Sean Grayson, who was fired from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office last week, is that he has had 6 jobs in law enforcement in 4 years. In 4 years, Kevin, something's going on with this guy. And of course, arguably, I think he was forced to fire. But how do we get to the bottom of that story? Or do we offer a round critique of good cops not telling the whole truth about bad cops. Is Sean Grayson an example of that? Did they all know that he was a bad dude, so they forced him to resign and thus allowed him to be hired by someone else? And of course, you and I already know
Which
the answer to
happens.
fixing this, but go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
which happens so often. Like
Sure.
it happened with I don't remember. There's like a case where like a kid was playing with like an orange plastic gun in a park in Chicago, and like cops just like rolled up and started firing immediately. They resigned and got new jobs, and one of them had previously done that.
Yeah. It's
and,
amazing. It's embarrassing. I don't know. Like, what was that? Daniel Shaver. I unfortunately took the time to watch that video. That cop should be in jail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That cop should be in jail. I'm not saying he should have been in jail forever, but what he did was absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. He was in the wrong frame of mind. He had complete control over that situation. Complete control. The dude was in no danger. I don't know how the jury decided anything different than that. Maybe they didn't see the video, Kevin. That's all I can think. Somehow they kept that evidence out, but guys, if you haven't seen the Daniel Shaver story, that's another one that you should check out. And look, guys, Kevin and I are the pragmatic dudes. We're like, no, we have cops. We need cops. We're not anarchists, though. I mean, honestly, like
on most days, but
this Trump versus Biden thing, and now Kamala, I'm kind of like, anarchy has a distinct appeal. Agorism, anarchy. It's like, can I make that work? Because maybe I can. Maybe I don't have to vote. Maybe I can just be like, I reject your system and grant it no personal authority from me.
Fair enough. I get it. I'm not saying I'm going to do that too, but I get it.
It's hard.
And all right, we'll repeat our just keep beating this drum on like what the solution is to this type of stuff, which is like, of course, like in really awful cases, there should be like arrest and jail time, but like at bare minimum, require police officers to carry individual liability insurance policies that the insurance companies then get to decide like, okay, are we going to cover this person at a standard rate? Are we going to cover this person at an enhanced rate? Are we going to deny this person coverage altogether? And if no company will insure them, they probably shouldn't be a police officer anymore. Everyone's like, nope, this police officer is way too risky, keeps causing problems. And that won't be most cops. Most cops are like, they'll just, it'll be a thing. And like, you can even have situations where the unions pay for it. And then the unions will suddenly have to like deal with the consequences of accountability where like, oh man, we have a bunch of bad cops in this precinct and they are costing us a bunch of money.
Yeah. Okay. I think it would correct on the other side too. I've given this some thought. Like I have friends that are police officers and they're like, well, we get accused of stuff all of the time. And we don't do it. Like not every guy is a bad cop. You know what I mean? And how do we protect them from that? That's always been a concern. But I think somehow if we eliminate this qualified immunity thing, we get rid of really bad cops. There's going to be a lot less. There probably won't be a lot less, but I just think that somehow this piece would work itself out.
Yeah. And like the insurance company on the other side of that too is not going to want to pay money. They're going to be like, nope, we're not paying for this. They're going to go out and to defend people. Like, so if they think it's a good case, they'll figure it out or they'll settle, right? Like one or the other, right? Like it's a bad case, they'll settle, they'll raise rates. That's what it is. If they think this is a false accusation, we're going to send our lawyers out and go and like shut this down.
Yeah, correct. Hey guys, remember to like, comment, share, smash the like buttons if you're out there on YouTube, hit the heart button if you're out there on Twitter. Kevin and I love the attention and we need more of it. And frankly, I think, I don't know, I listen to other shows, I listen to other podcasts. I think we have a pretty good product that perhaps with a little bit of help would sell better. That's for real. I don't know. I believe in it and I believe in our friends, and I think that, we need a little help. Smash the like button, and that's all I'm asking, right? Hit the like button, hit the heart button.
Give us a like, give us a share, retweet, whatever, wherever you're listening to this, and help us spread the word about the show. If you like what you're hearing, maybe some of your friends and followers will too.
Yeah, it's Jover. That is a great name. I didn't even catch that. That was good.
I'll admit, like, I saw that from a Lil Nas X tweet. That was the first place I saw it, but it's Jover.
It's Jover. Kevin, I catch little, like, occasionally on Twitter, I catch little, like, wafts of narratives that deserve to be debunked. So one of the big narratives that's going around is like people lecturing about who they are and what they're doing and who they're going to vote for. So I have a tweet where I just took a selfie and it's got like 520 likes. People are comparing me to Mike Rowe because they think I look like him a little bit. And it's like, I just want to read it to our audience that is with us tonight. And I'm just like, I'm 58 years old, a construction professional, and the father of 3 amazing and talented kids. I've decided voting for the Uniparty is absurd. Who is with me? So it's like, bam, 520 likes for this old guy's face on a Twitter post, X post.
I mean, that's great Twitter bait, man. Like, well done. Like, for real. Like, it's like, I saw that. I was like, man, like, I saw it like as soon as it came out. I was like, man, that's gonna get like 1,000 likes.
It would be so good. Yeah, no, I couldn't believe it. I've been in a slump on Twitter because, like, if you don't spell things correctly and you call people retards, apparently, like, the algorithm will punish you. I get it.
Maybe don't do that.
I know. I get it. No, I get it. And then I was big into talking about meatballs and alternative words for meatballs because I wanted free speech. And I think perhaps those things hurt me like a little bit, and maybe I can fight my way back.
Yeah, no, just I mean, the picture of your face, like perfect, like boomer posting, like it's great
I'm Gen
stuff,
X, bro.
You're all boomers to me.
I hear you, man.
Yeah,
I don't
Gen X folks don't like that.
I know, but still, we don't like it. But also, I'm so at the cusp of it that I understand where you're coming from, and I was responding to boomers posting like, "Oh, I was a Goldwater Republican, and I have 17 cats, and I'm gonna vote for Kamala Harris, and so is my husband." And it's like,
I saw a bunch of that stuff.
Oh my god, it was like in unified, like, again, the messaging that comes from the blue team is
Dude,
absolutely
The
impressive.
I'm with her posts are back.
Oh my god,
so much cringe.
Oh,
it's everywhere. Like, I've seen so many like photos of like Kamala Harris, like just like power posing in a white suit, and like in that, like, I'm with her. Like, yes, share this image if you believe in strong women. Like, I don't know. Stop.
I love strong women. Most strong women I know lean conservative, though. Like, most weak, like, angry women lean. And look, that was obnoxious. Never mind. I don't even want to say it.
No.
Made some joke about cat ladies.
I know,
on
like
Twitter too. I don't know. I shouldn't have done it.
We won't go down that road, but like it is very reminiscent of the Hillary Clinton stuff, where it was just like, you know, browbeating, like, if you don't support this woman, then like you don't care about women at home. Like, no, I'm not playing that game. Like, no, like, let's talk about our policies. Like, let's talk about, like, you know, like her policies on rent control. Let's talk about her policies on like corporate regulation. Let's talk about her policies on drug legalization, like, where she seems to have like sort of come around, but like has a very bad record on that stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Like, let's talk about the real issues and what she's really going to do. But can she be really, again, you know, like, we look at Joe Biden, like, they have a distinct misunderstanding about inflation. They have a distinct misunderstanding about distorting markets. There's this constant distortion of the market for higher education. Okay. And there's this distinct desire to buy votes with taxpayer dollars. Like, they have campaign war chests,
child care subsidies.
Yeah, yes.
Which I get. Like, I'm like, man, I don't think it's a good idea, but I would take them.
Of course you would. I took them. I'm not going to lie about it. They were available. We took them when as needed, when they were available. That's it. Like, I have still generated a lot of taxes. I have still worked hard. I still know it's a market distortion. And I still know that for some people, it created misery. Like, that doesn't change the fact that you'd be crazy not to, you know, like, you gotta.
Now, listen, it's one of those things. It sounds nice. It's going to create more weird market distortion. Same with like she's proposing 6 months of paid family leave. Go back and listen. I did a whole show on paid family leave like back in 2021 because it was after Seamus was born. I had a RIT professor on talking about it.
Oh, cool.
And it just like it's one of those things. Paid family leave and actually the I think it was the Americans with Disabilities Act had like the opposite consequences. Like they ended up making employment more difficult and lowering wages for the groups that they were supposed to benefit.
Yeah, I mean,
good intentions, bad results. That's just what happens sometimes, and that's it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Like they really think they're doing the right thing, but the actual outcomes matter.
So, and again, I know you are a little bit critical of me because you want that to be they really think they're doing the right thing. And I really see this corrupt power lust enterprise that is filled by narcissists, liars, jokers, and clowns. Like that the worst people in the world have enough aggression in their soul to get elected to public office through various forms of capitulation, lies, and dirty deals. And so,
Tim, I don't see those as contradictions. That's the thing. Like again, like
good.
Like narcissism, like Joe Biden, like maybe he's a bit of a narcissist. Same with Trump, like too. Let's not leave him out.
Absolutely,
but, they
no,
think that they like. Why did Joe Biden stay in the race so long? Because he has such a big ego. He thinks that only he can save the world. Oof, like, and is willing to do whatever it takes to cling on the power because he's got to be the guy, right? And and again, that's where all the other behavior you talked about comes into play.
Right.
Like, and I mean, like the corruption is sort of a separate thing because I mean, I remember I gotta look up to see if this study like was still like validated and repeated and everything. But there used to be this thing where like some of the most aggressive drivers on the road back when like you were making a value statement with like what sort of car you're purchasing were Prius owners because they felt that like they were doing something good, therefore they could be a little bit bad and mean because like they were a good person overall because like after all they made a significant purchase to protect the environment. Now I don't know if that got repeated, but like the logic of that like makes sense to me, and I've seen how that plays out in other places. So again, what you're saying and what I'm saying aren't necessarily in conflict with each other. They think they're doing so good that they can do a little bit of shady stuff on the side. Sometimes it looks like corruption. Sometimes it looks like noble lies to hold on to power. Sometimes it looks like, like, well, we had good intentions, even if there are bad outcomes, like, and like, don't worry about that.
Yeah. Because
we're just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. I accept this donation from this dubious person because I am the right person to save the world. Like I get it. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That was good. I love
so we're not actually that far apart.
Right.
On some of this stuff. I said just because you think you have good intentions does not mean you are actually a good person.
Yeah. All right. That's beautiful, man. I don't know. We got time for one more crazy article. We could kind of rip through it.
Sure.
Or you want to call it a night?
Now, you know what we should call it? We should call it a night.
All right.
Or start talking about Klingons like Matthew Klingon the power. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I had one about Shatner being at Fort Ticonderoga, the Star Trek thing. A breaching whale capsizing a boat, tossing 2 people overboard. A pretty epic story. Geyser in Yellowstone erupting. And Kevin, all of these things are because the Earth is angry at the human species.
Yeah, Patricia brought up the Yellowstone thing. I did see that. That's why people were like running off a bridge and everything. And
yep. Yeah.
Super volcano under there.
It was totally a volcano. No, like the Yellowstone officials say it was just like these things happen every once in a while. I want to say one thing about something I liked about Trump's RNC address. He does do a good job talking about cheap energy and that he would in fact focus on cheap energy. And when we're in periods of rampant, wild, modern monetary policy, if we can force the cost of energy down, like interestingly enough, right? If a gallon of gas can cost less than a gallon of water, we're at a position in the world where people are going to develop things, have fun. I don't know. You see what I'm saying though?
Mhm.
Like he's good about energy, and he's like, bring it all. Like I don't know, man. I'm not going to vote for the guy. I'm probably going to vote for Chase, but like I want his messaging to be more inclusive. Okay, inclusive of angry old Gen X dudes who want less government. I want him to be better there, Kevin.
The Chase.
Yeah.
Won't someone think of the old guy libertarians?
Yeah, I have
just
extra $20
forgotten
a
about.
month. Entertain me, bro. I will send you money. You see what I mean? Like, arguably, he has not persuaded me yet.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah, he's. I mean, like again, it's tough with a bunch of stuff going on with the Libertarian Party, which we won't get into, and
yeah, we will not tonight, but
not
we
tonight.
Will.
Well, at some point in time we will, but
yeah.
But yeah, I want him to do better, and like some of it's the environment, some of it's like his team's got to find ways to break out a little bit more, right?
Sure,
you know,
it's tough. It's tough. We're in a muted environment for libertarians, especially in a year where Bobby Kennedy is making some real noise. You know, like he legitimately is making real noise. Like it's hard to deny that. So
that's true.
And it's cool that who he appeals to is Democrats that I have a tendency to think it makes me like Democrats more. Like his existence and the support for him doesn't mean I agree with a lot of the things that he says, but they're thoughtful enough to consider something other than this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's like breaking out and trying to be willing to try other alternatives is a good first step.
Yes. The freedom will give you your Hobbit house, Patricia Blanchard. I promise you. The things standing in your way are zoning, bad monetary policy, market distortions. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Chase ain't promising anything like that. He's promising like the government's going to get out of the way, so you're going to be able to do that stuff. So in a way, yes, but also he's not like future President Harris. He's not going to just like give it to you. You will not get a subsidized Hobbit house, but you will be allowed to build one.
Right. You would be allowed to build one. We would have an economy that would support one being built. And we would have robots marching your wood into place and framing the round doors. Like it would
right.
It would be better.
You can have the robots powered by nuclear energy and
I'm telling you, like the future could be amazing. We just got to stop being paranoid psychopaths. Like we got to stop buying this nonsense.
Most people were different. We would have an accident.
Well, honestly, if only most people were slightly less emotional and realized that they were being lied to and manipulated to all the time.
Yeah, people in power are slightly different.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
All right. Well, anyway, we should call it a night, folks.
Let's do that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for all the comments. And I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them. Like this CrowdStrike comment, that's wild, that's hilarious, Matthew.
I had one of the articles I had was about CrowdStrike, but Kevin doesn't have time to talk about it. Blah blah blah. No, I'm just kidding. We got to go, bro.
All right.
I haven't had a cigarette in an hour and a half.
Wow.
I know.
All right.
It's wild.
Yeah. Now we call it a night so Tim can go smoke.
That's right. Correct.
Bye, folks.